Good morning. How is everybody today? I'm hoping everybody's great. You're enjoying your day, either good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, right? Um, but yeah, hey, my name is Malcolm. I'm excited to kind of be out here and doing this webinar for us and letting you learn a little bit more about custom forms in any way that I can help. So let's just dive right into this today. So today we're going to be talking about unlocking the power of custom forms. Uh, it's a great piece to use inside of the Ready system. It's only there to help. It's there to kind of just make your life a little bit easier. All right. So what we're going to do, I'm going to have this in here just to talk about our agenda today. So we're going to be understanding custom forms and their benefits. We're going to talk about the different types of custom forms, uh, some of them being like your company uploaded form, your manual form, and then we're going to talk about multiple signature forms, as well as some common gaps we find, best practices for custom forms, and then just some kind of little bit of tidbit at the end about that strategic advantage with using the Ready system to its fullest. All right. So, understanding custom forms and their benefits. So, what are custom forms? You might have some ideas. Some of you, if I were to ask out here and say, hey, are you with your comfortability, are you a 1 or a 10 with UKG Ready and custom forms? Some of you might say a 1, some of you might say a 10. And if you're a 10, go ahead. I'm just going to pass the baton to you right now and let you go ahead and lead this for me. But they take some getting used to and understanding. So what are they? Custom forms, well, they enable administrators to create a digital document that employees and applicants can complete and sign online. Once submitted, these documents are automatically stored either in that employee's record or through an HR action request. So I'm sure there's a question of, well, if it's an HR action request, then does that mean it doesn't really store anywhere? It literally lives inside of that HR action request that has that custom form connected to it versus a custom form that maybe an employee did through a new hire checklist or trying to think of maybe just a new policy comes out and you need them to sign off on it. That will live in their record. What are the benefits? Right? So, a fully digital document management system is the ability to assign specific forms based on defined criteria, a streamlined experience for new hires, efficient collection of all required information, and improved accuracy, ensuring nothing is overlooked. Because what is it doing at the end of the day? It's creating that one place where you can find and see everything, as well as making sure it has exactly what you need them to do. All right. So the different types of custom forms. So you have your standalone custom form. Then you're going to have your custom forms for HR actions, your custom forms connected to checklists, and then your applicant custom forms. Now, your standalone custom forms, those are the ones that your employees can go in at any point in time and submit from their forms section. Allows for the completed form to be then recorded on that employee's record. Now, when you do set up these standalone custom forms out there for your employees to submit outside of a checklist or any of these other options, it you have to make sure that they have the right security access to even give them that ability. You can set up all the custom forms you want in the world, but if the employee's security profile does not give them access to that specific form, they're never going to know it exists. And then you have your custom forms for HR actions. So these are forms that are built into an HR action and they're submitted through that HR action. Those again are stored inside of that HR action that you can later go in to see and even download it out of there if you needed to, or screenshot it to place in that employee's record or somewhere you'd like to keep it. Your Now, also, what I will say, the good thing with custom forms with HR actions, and even for custom forms, all of these options, you can tie workflows to them for additional signatures, approvals, whatever you may need with that. Then you have custom forms connected to your checklist. So, as it sounds, these forms are completed through a checklist. That can be like your new hire onboarding paperwork. That can be like new policies that you're rolling out that everybody needs to do. Uh, you could have it for rehires and so on. These forms, again, they do live on that employee's record. And then you got your applicant custom forms, and these, well, they're really only completed by applicants. So there's a different checklist called an applicant checklist that you can connect this form to, uh, and it can pull in different applicant specific information. And then that is stored on the applicant's record. So the difference here, applicant, it looks at the applicant's record, while all the other ones can look at that employee specific record to pull data in automatically to fill out that form. All right, so here's just an example of a company uploaded form. So you see how it can have your logo in here and it can have the policy that you've already had. So anytime you're putting a custom form into the Ready system, you do have to have it already saved as a PDF. It won't take a Word format or any other format except for PDF. I always recommend keeping that Word one somewhere easily accessible. So if you needed to change something small in that form, or maybe you're updating it for the next following year, you can make the changes in the Word document and then resave it as that PDF, upload it back into the Ready system, or even update the form that's already out there. Because really, at the end of the day, a custom form is like a background image. You take your PDF and you upload it into the system that creates the image, and then you can place little fields in the record for it to record. Like that sign button that you're seeing at the bottom right, off to the right of the page. That is a field that I added into the system. It is not necessarily something the system automatically did. With that being said, there is an AI feature with Ready. And when you upload the forms, it can try to fill in places in here for you automatically. It's not always accurate, or it's not always going to put in like a sign field. You might have to go in there and change what it put in there, but it will put some type of box there for you. All right. And then you have a manual form, right? So a manual form is different than a company uploaded form. And I call it a manual form because you're doing a lot of manual labor in here. You're having to add an image of the company logo. You're having to add a header into this blank sheet. This is not you uploading any kind of PDF. This is you taking this blank square within the Ready system and overlaying different headers and sections that you want filled out in here. So you see how it says like full name in here? What I did is I added a little item into here. I said, hey, I want you to pull automatically from that employee's record and put in their first name and their last name automatically. That's one less thing that your employee's having to do. So what does that mean? Well, that means if I'm the employee, I don't have to worry about spelling my name correctly, or maybe in this case, you can see where the address is fillable, but I could have that grayed out as well, where it automatically pulls in their address and there's nothing that they can do or change or make a mistake with. That's kind of the great part about these forms is you add in these different headers and items that you let the system do a lot of the heavy lifting. So your employee or your IT or your managers, whoever it is not having to key something in and accidentally make a mistake. I'd love to say we don't make mistakes, right? Like I never make mistakes. I do all the time, but it will happen at some point in time. And you might have those employees that try to say, hey, I'm not Malcolm Bowles. I am this person, and try to fill the form out that way. This makes that to it's not possible. All right. And then you're going to have your multi-signature forms. So they're really either one of those options. It's going to be your manual form or through an HR action. But let's just say you put let's just say you needed like an employee to sign it, and then you needed, let's just say, your manager to sign off on it too. But maybe there's certain things in the form that you want the employee to fill out and then sign, and then there's maybe something after that that you want your manager to fill out and then sign. That's where this can come into handy as well. Uh, so these are custom forms support multiple signatures and allow you to designate which sections are fillable for each signer. Employees will fill out the custom form, all fields except for the manager and HR signatures or whatever fields that HR and manager might need to do. But that employee completes their section. Once they submit that form, you can have a workflow that pushes it over to the manager or IT, HR, whoever it is that you need it to go to. And you can have a modification step built into that workflow that says, hey, let this person that receives this action to go in and modify that custom form. Once they have finished going in, filling out what they needed to and signing it, they can hit the modified button. And then from there, it'll automatic, either you can have it auto approve or you can have it go somewhere else, like maybe to HR for their final signature, or maybe uh, there's no other actions that need to be done. And so at that point, it's a completed form. And then it just can go out there and live on that employee's record. Again, if it's submitted either through a checklist or on that employee's record, it will live uh, on that employee's record. But if it's done through an HR action, it's going to live inside the HR action. All right. Now, I know this part, I'm sure we're going to have some questions after on this piece, but your multi-signature, it takes a little bit of getting set up in there. There's certain questions you just have to make sure that when you're inside the actual custom form in itself, you're checking the right boxes of who's going to fill out what, and you do it based on signatures. So if you wanted the employee to fill out one spot and then you wanted the manager to fill out another, but you didn't have a manager signature in there, well, it's going to open it up for that employee to do all of it, right? So you want to be mindful of that piece, or you're going to have your employee filling out things that your manager should be doing. So what I recommend is if you don't